Hi all, so this is the sickle bar mower that I picked up in one of my previous episodes and put it in the shed here. As you can see, there's quite a bit of mostly surface rust that I can see. Some of the tin's got a couple of holes in it that I think I'll just leave and put a rust kill over it and sort that out, but I think all the parts are here at this point. I won't know 100% until I actually start going over it and assembling it, so let's get into it. So as I've gone over this pulley cover, it's coming up a lot better than I actually thought it was going to. The grinder that I'm using's got a 80 grit sanding wheel on it, and it's working rather good. So this here has already had some rust colour converter put over it, and that's all done its job and dried to the black areas where the rust has been chewed into by it. So now the rust should be killed. I'm going to go with the grinder and just grinder and the sanding disc on it and see how it comes up. I'll just put some of the stuff over the top of it now, all on the inside and everything. It's all coated. So you can see that. It's a bit bright in the background. The sun seems to be out. So that's the bit there that I'm going to feed into it. These are what came with it. I haven't opened this up yet to even know what I'm dealing with here. Just been tidying up the rest of it really. So let's open this up. Here's our first peek. That looks pretty rusty. Hopefully it's most just surface stuff and I can clean that there up and get it sliding. Nice. Get the wire brush onto it, see how it goes. Well, I've seen the pieces to get there and managed to get it together. Turn it over by hand. Still got a bit of setting to do and adjustments, but so far everything seems to be there. Still got to tighten that up a little bit more, but and adjust that there as well to get it set to a better position. Then there's these things here. I need to take the slop out. Make sure it's rubbing on this surface to get a good cut. Still got to work on that bit. It's quite a bit. But progress. So here we are. I've just been putting a little bit of oil, my favourite oil, into these slide bits here. Just a little bit. I've pieced it together and put some spaces in. There's parts that were with it. So like you can see these are back on, the blades in and that. I've put that plate under there to hold that like in a forward position so it doesn't have too much movement. And then I've got this here, which are actually the spaces for underneath this whole unit to move it around where I want it, or where the last owner wanted it. So if you look at that one, I've got the plate underneath it pushed forward against this cutting blade, and the gap under this edge is actually, there's quite a gap there. I wonder if I can move that up and down, if I cut myself. It's got a gap under that one. Whether this one, same setup almost, but I've added these two spaces. They only go into the back side of these bolts. They're pushed up to the back of them to try and rock this here down in the tip, down in the nose, and now it's actually rubbing on there, so it's keeping this pressed just lightly. And then on another one up here, I've done the same thing. I've put some oil on there too, and you can sort of see the brown where it's been rubbing across here. And the same with this one back here. Two plates to rock this whole unit forward in the nose. Just put a bit of pressure on there. Just a bit. And it's got some plates at the very bottom underneath this plate here. I think there's two of these things right underneath it properly, and they're lifting this plate here upward, and it's almost flush with the top of the blade part here, up this way. It's almost like flush. So now this doesn't go forward or backwards. Can't go forward or backward that way. There's a little weeny bit of play there, but you won't see that on the camera. And the upward motion to put up and down, well, this here is lightly pressing on the top of that, just feathering on it, so it barely moves. Put a bit of oil in here. Not going overboard with all this oil, I just want to get all this piece together fairly close so I can sort of tell how much I need to do to each piece to get a bit of an indication on what's required. So I've used the packers and just a little bit of oil in some places to get it moving. And now I'm going to give it a turn on the PTO. It's actually moving pretty easy, and I haven't even oiled that full shaft yet on the bottom side. The plate that it actually, the guide plate I guess you'd call it. So I was just spinning the PTO by hand with the vice grips on the end of that at the moment, just to get that moving manually. So this one doesn't have any spaces in there to tilt this forward. If you can see that there, you notice it moves up and down a bit in there. It's probably 2 fingernail thicknesses underneath that one, so it's moving that much. So if I can put some more spaces in the back of here, or put some spaces in the back of here, like what I've done on that, and that'll bring that down closer, and it'll rub onto there and bring that blade closer to the bottom edge of the bottom in here to help it get a better cut. Well, that's what I think it will do anyway. It's more of a guillotine action, because it's sliding across onto the edge without the gap there. Just thought I'd share that with you. I probably won't leave these like that. I think I'll come up with another idea. But that's telling me how much of a packer I need to put in on the back of each one. Little spaces. I mean, maybe I'll just use them like that. We'll see. Right, so I've put on the lower arms already. Click them on. Just got to put the top link into place. Put this on to here. Clip. Put that on. Line that into position. Around about. It's probably not right, I haven't used it yet. So, do some adjustments. And I've got the PTO shaft to clip on. I've put some electrical tape on there just to stop a bit of rattling noise. I've done the same thing down here. Stop a bit of rattling. Pin here, I've put that into place. I think that's to, it seems like it's going to stop the arm at a certain angle as the 3-point lifts it up, and that arm part here hits here. I think it once it gets to a certain point on that, it's going to tilt this arm here up on an angle as this part lifts off of the ground, and I reckon that's what that pin does. See if I can get that without wiggling too much. Push the pin down and wiggle that until it clicks. There we go. It's popped out. It's extended out that much. I'm going to have to get a cover for that end of that. Right, so that's all connected up. Put that there back over there, just in case. Right, now I'll start the tractor up and I'll give it a lift and see if the cutting bar does what I was saying, and maybe even engage the PTO and see if everything's going to work well. But it's first run since I got it home. I've wound it over by hand, as you've seen, and everything seems to be okay. So let's put some real power onto it and see how it pans out. That's probably twice as high off the ground on that end. The pin's definitely locked it and worked like I was hoping. This part here hits against the lug on the bottom, it's locking that. Up there, this part here going down that way, underneath there. I've shifted that end plate, this one here. As you might be able to see the two bolt holes, I've shifted this here right up as high as it'll go. PTO shaft is closed up a little bit further, but as you can see it's still got a little bit further that it can close up inside here. So that's good. It's not going to bind itself together. Well, that was successful so far. I guess now I'll engage the PTO and see what happens. Put a little bit more oil on these bits. It's just big freely. Give it another spin. Well, I'm really happy with that. Get to see what it cuts like. I think it'll be fine. That's working good. Gotta put a movement there though. On the 3-point. Need to get rid of some of that movement there. It's a bit much. So yeah, there we have it. It's together. That's its first run in, geez, I don't know how many years. It's been so long, it's sitting. I'm pretty happy about that.